You could have a magical pet of any sort, what would it be?
A magical pet of any sort? I mean, you know, I loved a mongoose growing up. I love Ricky Tikki Tavi, the Kipling story. Always fancied a mongoose. I don't mean fancy the mongoose, I mean, you know.
I'd like a wolf. On film, I think it's the first time you put your toe in the water on a new scene and you're testing stuff out. And if you're supported by a good director who's encouraging you and nurturing you with the other, if the creative energy is good, that's for me the most rewarding time. The first few takes when you're sort of exploring what it is. I know there are directors who famously go for lots and lots of takes. There's always a sort of, for every actor I think it's different, there's a point where you kind of plateau, and you after maybe 5 or 6, every scene is different, but I think the first time you're trying something out is always quite exciting because it's new.
Do you feel like you're a different house of Harry Potter?
Oh no, I'm a Slytherin. So, yeah. Well, I mean, I don't really see the point of the other houses. I mean, you've got to have someone to hate, so it's Gryffindor. But the yellow one and the blue one, which I refuse to name, they're just pointless. It's like filler.
Filler houses. You're sticking with Slytherin, right?
Of course, I'm sticking with Slytherin.
We were discussing the real things in life, and the building blocks of human behaviour. What makes us scared, jealous, nervous, confident, rude? What makes us racist? What makes us, what makes us people? What are the building blocks? What are all the inner forces? What's the 9/10 of the iceberg? I love that in rehearsal. I don't like rehearsing the film because, like Rafe said, the first time you do something, if you know if your cast's right and the script's right, you want something magical and spontaneous to happen in front of the camera. You don't want it to happen in rehearsal or in the trailer. You want it to happen and continue to happen if possible. But one of my favourite bits of filming, not when it comes to playing wizards, is that you get access to shadow people. So I've shadowed politicians, priests, heart surgeons, drug dealers, all kinds of strange criminal or establishment figures and army people, and they tell you things they wouldn't tell their closest friends or family because you're acting, you're not playing them necessarily, and they've always wanted to tell them. It's like you're their therapist. And I loved doing ride-alongs with cops or spending time with prisoners and things like that. I find fascinating. It may not find its way onto the screen, but it's a privilege that most people don't get.
When you auditioned for Harry Potter, if you didn't get Voldemort, would you have liked to be anyone else?
I didn't audition. I was offered the part.
So I never think I was good in a film. Sometimes I'm proud of films. I was in a film called Mass, which very few people have seen, which won a whole bunch of awards in thanks for that single person. I must remember to bring a bucket of fish for the dolphin up there next time. But anyway, but it's a beautiful film about the power of forgiveness. And when you carry hatred in your heart, that it will only poison you. And so I'm proud of the stories I get to tell. I never get proud of myself. I think that way madness lies, and you stop being good at your job.
Yeah, I mean, I think as you get older, you just value working with great people, and not just actors, but directors, writers, people working in the art department. And I think as I've got older, I think when I was younger, I took it a bit for granted. I mean, I had great film opportunities that came, and it was great. And I think you just suddenly see, my God, it's very hard to make certainly independent films, and cinema is really challenged now. So I just feel a sense of gratitude in a way that I can be part of any of these worlds. I mean, I wouldn't choose out one film. I mean, I loved in Skyfall. I got to act with Judi Dench, who is a great actor and was an iconic M. And that was, if you asked about plucking a memory out of the air, working with her in that film was great. But that, again, the Bond franchise was created by people doing wonderful, wonderful work. The design work is incredible. You go on these sets and you think the thought and the skill and the engineering that's gone into these sets. So I'm just feeling more and more now, this is so great.
And so Lucius Malfoy, J.K. Rowling's writing was so good, and the adaptations, the directors are good enough that they wanted to create rounded human beings. And I saw a guy on the page who was not that different from the Tommy Robinson's lot, the racist mobs that rampage around Britain, or the mob in Amsterdam yesterday that chased down Jewish football supporters. I saw people I see in the news every day. I saw intolerance and hatred and fear, and someone who thinks by turning the clock back maybe to their colonial past, they can somehow regain power. And I recognise the human being. I try not to take parts when they're one-dimensional, when they're moustache twirling, because I don't think the audience is bothered by them. I don't think they hate them. I don't think they're scared of them. I think we're scared when we recognise maybe even behaviours buried deep inside us. Lucius is a bully. I've been bullied a lot in my life. I wonder if I have maybe even been a bully occasionally. And I recognise that in him. You know, I'm not a big fan of the gentleman that just got, not a gentleman, he just got elected in America. I think he's an awful human being. But he looks in the mirror every day. I want to make a cheap political point. I think he's a monster and terrible for the world in many ways. But he doesn't think that. He looks in the mirror and thinks he's a saviour. And he can absolutely justify everything he does and thinks. I think his views, moral universe is a vacuum. And he's despicable. He doesn't think. He doesn't lick his chops and go, now I can go and do something bad. He thinks he's right. So I try and take parts. And I think it's true in our film. I believe that Lucius believed.
Yeah, I completely agree with Jason that obviously we go and see movies and we talk about who's the good guy and who's the bad guy. Well, if you are offered what is clearly on a first reading the bad guy, once you're playing the part, you have to find the human being and in a way put the label away. Because he gets up for breakfast, he or she might love their partner, have children, and you have to go into what makes them do the thing they do.
So I've had lots of accents in my life, lots of them, and so I get to try them out in voice work in ways that I don't on camera, and I can play old people, young people. So, but I've done lots of animated movies and games and stuff, and you never meet the other people. So even on I was big budget. I was in a Pixar film, I played Dick Dastardly in the Scooby-Doo film. I never met the other people. I was in comedy scenes with them. It's ludicrous. But when we did Star Wars Rebels, we were all in the studio together. It's like doing a play for Radio 4. And I remember that being lovely. And yes, there was a putting machine, and I did fuck up many takes by putting. But they let me, so that was fine. But I do remember that it was such a different energy. You get a different energy from other actors. And recording solo seems a bizarre way to make animated movies, but I continue to do it.